And a happy Friday out there, friends and family. She is Anita Marks. I am Tyler Fulghum. We are ready to rock and roll on a Friday edition of Bet. Have you cruising on into the weekend? Of course, Anita, we have to discuss both the NBA and NHL postseasons, and the Puck Daddy will join us here in just a little bit to break down the action on the ice this weekend. Cannot wait for that. We will dive into the NBA games we'll see this weekend and offer up some picks, plus dabble in the NBA Finals MVP market since we're down to the Final Four. And we're going to talk ponies in just a second with you leading the pack, Anita. But before we get started, the suits tell me to do, and I want to keep my job. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. If you're watching us right there already, good on you. You are in my good blessings. If you're not, still thank you for watching. You're in my good blessings there. But please go subscribe to our YouTube channel because it's only going to benefit you as you try and win some money in the gambling world. Speaking of which, one of the more traditional or oldest ways to gamble in this country, and I guess in the world probably, is on the ponies, Anita Marks. We have the 147th running of the Preakness Stakes Saturday, tomorrow, 6 Eastern. And Anita, before we get into you handicapping, for those who aren't familiar with horse racing as much, or the differences between each leg of the Triple Crown, what is different, about the Preakness Stakes as compared to the race we saw, the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs?
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. So Triple Crown, it's called that because they race on 3 different tracks, right? The first is Churchill Downs, now it's Preakness, and then eventually it'll be the Belmont. The difference between Churchill Downs and the Preakness on Saturday is that it's a shorter track. It's a half a furlong shorter, and we're going from 20 horses to 9 horses. So a much different race to expect on Saturday, that's for sure, and we're looking for some speed. That's what you want to look for.
All right, so given the fact that we have not only a shorter track, but a much shorter field, how do you approach handicapping which ponies you want to play?
All right, so we're always looking for value, right? You always don't want to bet on the best horse out there because you're not going to get value on the horse. But you want to look for horses that you think potentially could pull an upset. And so you got to look at the 2 horse. That's Creative Minister. Has great odds right now at 10-1. Hopefully those will be the odds at post time. Trainer McPete has won a Preakness before 2 years ago. This is a horse that ran a very fast time at a Derby race in the undercard, one of the fastest all day 2 weeks ago at the Derby. But just keep in mind, cannot race with Lasix in the Preakness, did race with Lasix at the Derby in the undercard, so you got to keep that in mind. I'm going to go with the lady as well. That's the 4th horse, and that's Secret Oath. She's a filly. She won the Kentucky Oaks. She's fast. She's got a great jockey named Saez. Second time racing with the boys, came in 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. And last but not least, the other horse that I'm really keeping an eye on, and this is the favorite horse, again, right now at even. It's just not great odds here, but this is the best 3-year-old in the country, and that's Epicenter. Should have won the Kentucky Derby. It's Jockey Rosario, moved too early. Of course, the 80-1 horse, Rich Strike, came in, had a beautiful ride, and won the Derby, but Epicenter really should have won. So how am I going to play this? Creative Minister, I'm going to play to win or place. That means coming in 1st or 2nd. I'm also going to take these 3 horses, and I'm going to play them in an exacta box, the 2, the 4, and the 8, which means that only 2 of them have to come in 1st or 2nd. If all 3 of them come in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I'm raking some really, really great money. And last but not least, I'm going to play a trifecta. I'm going to play the 2, 4, and the 8. I've got those 3 horses I anticipate to come in 1st or 2nd. And then I'm going to throw in underneath Simplification, who's a really fast horse, came in 4th in the Derby. And the 5 horse, early voting, Chad Brown, really world-renowned trainer, excellent guy. This is his horse. He kept this horse out of the Derby specifically, Tyler, to race in the Preakness. So this is a horse that's healthy, fresh, ready to go. And this is a very fast horse. And this is a course that fits its wheelhouse to a T. And I'm going to throw them on the under to play the trifecta. So I'm going to play it a few ways. Hopefully, Mama will have a new pair of shoes on Monday morning.
Yeah, of course, we won't see a Triple Crown winner because I think the owners, smartly, of Rich Strike, they're going to make their bread. They don't need to have that horse on the course anymore after what happened at the Kentucky Derby, but that doesn't mean we can't win some money for our betting friends out there, Anita, great job handicapping the 147th running of the Preakness Stakes, which will take place tomorrow on a Saturday. Now, generally, a more traditional or more popular way to gamble in today's world is on the National Football League. And even though it is just May right now and the season doesn't kick off until September, we have lines for Week 1 games. And throughout the coming weeks here on Bet, we're going to go division by division in the National Football League and look at each Week 1 contest for those 4 squads and do some handicapping. Now, I will say, of course, if injuries happen in the preseason or during training camp, it's going to massively affect these lines, especially if it happens to a quarterback or a principal piece. But that doesn't mean we can't try to find some edges and closing line value in case those injuries do not happen. So let's just take a very early look at the NFC West. Starting the season, the first game we'll see in the regular season, Thursday Night Football, the defending champion LA Rams welcome the betting favorite for the 2022/23 Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills. LA, a 1-point home favorite, total of 52.5 for this Week 1 Thursday night tilt. Anita, how would you play this a few months out?
Listen, I've said it before. I think the Bills are the best team in the NFL. I've got them to win the Super Bowl this year. And PFF had them as a 0.5 and 5.7 point better than an average team on a neutral field. And let's be honest, we know the Rams, it is a neutral field. There's no home field advantage in LA for the Rams. Doesn't even matter. They won the Super Bowl. It still doesn't matter. You got to like what Buffalo did in the offseason as well. They bring in what they were able to do in the draft. They bring in Elam, cornerback from Florida, as well as
James Cook, the running back from Georgia.
They bring in Crowder. I'm sorry. They bring in Crowder. There you go. And Cook. Thank you very much. So I like what they did in the draft. I like what they did bringing in Jamison Crowder, playing that slot position for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm on the Bills. Give me the Bills. Give me the points. So you're telling me I'm getting the best team in the NFL and I'm getting points in a neutral field? I'm all over it. I'm with the Bills.
I agree with taking whoever is the underdog in this game. I wonder if by kickoff, it'll be the Rams that are actually the home dog, because I do think a lot of people are going to buy into the narrative, whether it's real or not, that there's a Super Bowl hangover. They're going to look at Von Miller going to the other side. They're going to look at Robert Woods leaving, even though Allen Robinson came in. They're going to look at the retirement of Andrew Whitworth, some key pieces on defense as well. And they may be looking for a Super Bowl step back from the Rams. And as you mentioned, it's not really a home field advantage. Buffalo, Bills Mafia travels well, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than 50% Bills fans there at SoFi. But if the Rams are the underdog by the time this game kicks off September 8th, I'm going to buy the Rams. It's just whoever is the dog, I want the points in this coin flip game. Where I feel more comfortable right now, and regardless of what happens going into September, is the over. These should be two of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. We know what Josh Allen can do. We saw what Matt Stafford can do. I think the Rams offense will be as good, if not better this year. Second year for Stafford under McVay. Bringing in Allen Robinson, a healthy Cam Akers, adding Darrell Henderson and Kyron Williams, getting Tyler Higbee back. Think Odell Beckham might return. Think about who Stafford was throwing to in the fourth quarter of that Super Bowl. It was Cooper Kupp and a bunch of no-names because of all the injuries. I think we can expect a lot of points on Thursday night, regardless of who wins. And I want whoever is the dog. Right now, that is the Buffalo Bills. I will point this out, too. Sean McVay, 5-0 straight up, 5-0 ATS, Week 1 in his NFL career. Hard to get to in Week 1, Sean McVay. All right, San Francisco and Chicago, the next one we're going to look at. San Francisco is 6-point road favorite against Justin Fields and the Bears at Soldier Field. Anita, what tickles your fancy here?
This all comes down to Jimmy Garoppolo. Everything I'm hearing out of San Francisco is that Trey Lance is not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Meanwhile, for the Chicago Bears, they lose a lot. And Allen Robinson, they lose on the wide receiver position. Khalil Mack, they lose on the defensive side of the ball. So I love the 49ers. I've laid the 6, but I just have to confirm Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be traded and is not going to demand a trade to get out of San Francisco. So that's the big key for me. Jimmy Garoppolo's quarterbacking. I'll lay the points with the 49ers.
I'm going to lay it as well. I think the Chicago team is really going to struggle this year. They didn't add any help around Justin Fields. Their defense obviously gets worse with the departure of Khalil Mack. I think San Francisco's defense could be a top 5, if not top 3 unit in the NFL this year. I disagree with you on this fact. I think Trey Lance gives them the best chance to win football games and ultimately win a Super Bowl as compared to Jimmy Garoppolo. But I don't care who's playing quarterback against the Bears. I'll lay the 6 on the road with the 49ers because their roster is just wildly better than the Chicago Bears at the moment. All right, this is a pretty interesting matchup. Kansas City and Arizona. Down in Arizona, this is the highest total on the board for Week 1. 54 is the over-under. The Chiefs are a 3-point road favorite against Kyler, Cliff, and the Cardinals. How are you looking at this one, Anita?
Yeah, I love Kansas City here. Arizona's got some issues. Like, their front office and their quarterback, no bueno, Tyler. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't show up to camp. We don't know right now. On top of that, they're not going to have DeAndre Hopkins. And he's a big asset for them, especially in the red zone, for Murray to score touchdowns. So that's a big loss for me. As for Kansas City, again, another team like the Buffalo Bills did well in the draft. They bring in McDuffie, who a lot of scouts told me was one of their favorite corners. They improve the defensive line. They add a wide receiver in Sky Moore. And don't forget, they add Juju Smith-Schuster as well as MVS. They over from the Green Bay Packers. So now you've got Mahomes with a lot more weapons to work with. I love Kansas City. I'll lay the 3.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the side because I do think Kansas City's offense is going to take some time to figure out life after Tyreek Hill, even with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be an adjustment for this offense. And they shored up their defense. Nick Bolton last year, getting McDuffie and Karlaftis this year. I actually think Kansas City's defense is going to make some improvements. And although they'll still be a potent offense, I think they'll be able to win more games and create more game scripts that involve their defense not making or forcing Patrick Mahomes to score 35 or 40 points. I'm also fading Arizona's offense because, like you said, no DeAndre Hopkins. There's been a massive correlation between Hopkins' availability and the performance of Kyler Murray. Hopkins is available, Kyler balls. Hopkins is not available, Kyler does not ball. That's why I'm playing under the highest total we see on the board in Week 1. I don't like Arizona's offense without DeAndre, and I do think Kansas City is going to slightly post Tyreek, tweak to a little more run-heavy offense, and their defense should be able to play better, allowing Patrick Mahomes more room for error. They won't need to score 35 points to win games. Final game is the final game of Week 1 in the National Football League. Monday night, Russell Wilson immediately returning to Seattle to take on the only franchise he has ever played for. His new squad, the Denver Broncos, a 3.5-point road favorite. Very low total here for this Monday night affair on ESPN. How you looking at it, Anita?
I love Denver here. I'll lay the points. I can't believe that I don't have to lay more than just 3.5. The revenge game, he knows that defense extremely well. He's going into an area, a stadium. I know it's the 12th man, but man, those fans love him. So this is going to be a home game for Russell Wilson. On top of that, you're telling me Drew Lock, as of right now, potentially the starting quarterback for Pete Carroll in the Seattle Seahawks. On top of that, Denver, great defense. They add Randy Gregory to that defensive line with Bradley Chubb, and they've got a really fantastic secondary. I think the Denver Broncos roll here. I would lay it up to 6.5. I think it has the potential to be a blowout.
I mean, gosh gravy, I said the exact same thing during the schedule release, and we were talking about this game.
Good gosh gravy?
Gosh gravy is right. Triple G there. Not Guy's Grocery Games, but gosh gravy. I don't think this line is right at all. I think there is way too much respect for the Seattle Seahawks at home, where they won't have the 2 best players to ever play for that franchise anymore. On offense, it's Russell Wilson. On defense, it's Bobby Wagner. Bye-bye to both. And Denver has been a very competent team the last few years in the NFL, despite wretched quarterback play. Now they get a first ballot Hall of Famer. They should be one of the best teams in the NFL. And you're telling me I only got to lay 3.5 with Russ back there, where I wouldn't be surprised if those Seahawk fans who are upset Wagner and Wilson walked out the door are actually rooting for Wilson in this game against their team, because they probably want the Seahawks to tank so they can get a good draft pick and find the quarterback of the future this year. So I love Denver, and I swear I said the same thing. I would lay this up to 6.5 for the Denver Broncos on the road. I think it's just wildly inaccurate. We'll see how it changes, if it does, before kickoff Monday night. But gosh gravy, I like the way you're handicapping that one, Anita. All right, let's move from the gridiron to the ice, and someone who is as smooth and rich as gravy, the Puck Daddy, Greg Wyshynski, going to join us here right now on Bet. Puck Daddy, we appreciate it as always. I hope you take that as a compliment. Who doesn't love gravy, whether it's country white or the good old-fashioned brown? Let's start in the Eastern Conference here. Rangers and Carolina Hurricanes. Now, Rangers are down 0-1 in this series, playing on the road against the Canes, but maybe they take some inspiration from what happened last night. We saw both the Blues and the Tampa Bay Lightning win a Game 2 on the road. You see the Canes are a pretty hefty minus 175 favorite. Do you think the Rangers can even this up, or how are you going to play this Game 2 matchup?
Well, how I'm going to play it is I'm going to start early. I'm going to take the Carolina Hurricanes on the first period money line in this game. Keep in mind, Game 1, they didn't answer the bell. They were really bad for about 40 minutes in this game, and they turned on the afterburners in the third period and then in OT, and I think that's going to be the Hurricanes team that we see tonight against the Rangers. Game 1 marked the first time that Carolina lost the first period. They have scored in the first period in 5 of 7 games in the playoffs. Or I should say against Boston in the previous round. So I like the Hurricanes to start fast here. I'll take them on the money line. I'd even consider taking them on the puck line in the first period.
All right, let's talk about the Oilers and the Flames. A little surprised to see the over/under here at 6.5 when these teams combined for 15 in the opening game. What's your favorite bet here? Do you have one in this over/under?
I don't think the books know what to do with this series after that first game. It was so cuckoo bananas. I'm taking the Flames over 3.5 goals on the team total for a couple of reasons. One, they've been over this total in expected goals in 3 of their last 4 games. And if you were to ask me which team is going to recover defensively in Game 2, is it the team with Jacob Markstrom, who is one of the best goalies in the league with the Calgary Flames, or is it the team with Mike Smith, who got pulled in like 6 minutes, and an Edmonton team that hasn't really had the same defensive pedigree this year? I think obviously Edmonton is not going to be the defensive stalwart in this game, and I like the Flames to go over 3.5 team total.
All right, Anita, after hearing Gush Gosh Gravy and Cuckoo Bananas, you're next to come up with the food idiom of the day here on Bet.
Where do I go with that? I don't know.
I'll give you some time to think because I got another question here for our Puck Daddy. Let's go to the Tampa Bay Lightning and that commanding 2-0 series lead they now have with winning both of those games in Florida's arena. They return home as a kind of slight underdog in this Game 3 matchup, with the Panthers kind of being very desperate to get on the board in this series. Would you sprinkle a little on the sweep now that Tampa Bay is returning home with the 2-0 series lead?
No, I wouldn't. And I think the reason why you see the odds the way they are is everyone knows what's going on in this series, is that the Florida Panthers can't score a power play goal. They're 0 for 25 in the playoffs, okay? If they get a power play goal in Game 1 or Game 2 of this series, it is a different story with the Lightning. So we assume with 2 days off between games, they're going to get their house in order, they're going to figure out the power play, and I think there's a chance that they'll at least take one of these games in Tampa, especially with the way their goalie Sergei Bobrovsky has been playing.
All right, so the Blues, they get a win at home, some mistakes on the Avalanche part, but in the third period, but now they're plus 270 to win the series, but also they are a dog at home at plus 145. So what's your best bet in Game 3?
Just want to state for the record, I told you, Blues over.
Oh no, we had a great moment coming with my St. Louis Blues and the Puck Daddy Greg Wyshynski, and technology intervened.
When he said, that's the worst when it happens, when someone says, I told you, and then all of a
Something
sudden,
good.
Wait, what did you tell? Wait, you told me a lot of things. Which one was it?
Something good was coming from Greg Wyshynski right there. He was going to, before technology intervened, tell us for Game 3 specifically that he likes the Blues team total over 2.5 goals. We saw them really change the momentum of that series with a pretty dominant 4-1 victory in Game 2. Now they return to their home ice. So it would have been great to have Puck Daddy say that himself because you know I'm a Blues fan from St. Louis, but his official play for Game 3, not predicting a winner, just predicting that we'll see at least 3 goals from the Blue Note, on their home ice.
Just out of curiosity, did you get the Gloria shirt 2 years ago? Gloria.
No, I did not get the Gloria shirt.
I got your number.
But
I think I got
did.
the Elliot.
I did sing that song a lot. I love that song. It's what's the name of the artist? Gosh, it escapes me right now. I want to say.
Don't ask me.
Laura.
Don't ask me. Don't ask me. We're probably getting yelled at that we have to move on to NBA. I think we should do it.
But Gloria was a banger, and that Blues 4-1 win in Game 2 for a Blues fan was a banger as well. So sorry about Puck Daddy dropping out there. I had a fun time with him as always. We appreciate him joining us here on Bet. Meanwhile, Anita, we got to keep the show rolling by moving to the other postseason. That is the NBA playoffs. Laura Branigan. I thought it was a Laura Branigan, Gloria banger. Download it if you haven't, especially if you're a Blues fan. Maybe we can repeat 2019. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors are trying to repeat 2015, 17, and 18. The Mavs trying to get back to their glory of 2011. That would be lifting the Larry O'Brien trophy. Before they can get to the finals, though, they got to finish the Western Conference Finals. We saw Golden State jump out to a 1-0 series lead, rather convincing Game 1 victory. So Luka and the Mavs, once again, about the same line here. 6-point dogs at the Chase Center, total of 214. How do you want to play Game 2, which we will see tonight at 9 Eastern?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to lay the points for the Warriors. There's something about the Chase Center. It's just special. They just don't lose there. Here's another thing. They won Game 1 by 25 points by only shooting 35% from behind the arc. We know that's not going to happen again tonight with Steph and Clay. No way. Defense on Luka has been great. Again, small sample size, 1 game, but holding Luka to 20 points. He was 3 of 10 from downtown as well. And also, I'm going to play the under here. Why? Both these teams, very slow pace. They love that half-court methodical offense. They like to set up Luka. They like to, set up, of course, what they're able to do to run with the Dubs. So I'm going to go under. I'm going to go Warriors. Also, 2 prop bets for you. Gotta love the way that Andrew Wiggins has been playing here, not only offensively but defensively as well. Big key to stopping Luka. I'm going to go over 15.5 points. I'm going over 21.5 points in rebounds tonight. He's averaging 17 points a game. He's shooting 45%. And he's playing over 30 minutes. And also, I lost in Game 1, but I'm going back to the well. I'm going Steph Curry over 5.5 assists. He missed it by just a half. He's getting doubled. He's going to be that facilitator. So I'm going over 5.5 assists for Curry. Those are the prop bets for me tonight.
All right, I'm going to look to play the Warriors in this game like you, but I'm not going to lay the 6. I'm going to look at the second half specifically and the third quarter even more specifically. The Warriors have always been, with this unit, an awesome third quarter team. Coming out of the break, whether they're down, whether they're up, they usually blitz their opponent in the postseason, especially at home when they're at the Chase Center or back at Old Oracle. So I'll lay the 1.5 in the third quarter. I also like the -2.5 in the second half as a second half spread because I do like the Warriors in this game, and I think whether they're up, trailing, or tied at the break, the separation for them comes in the final 24 minutes of a home game. They really get that crowd rocking. They really seem to shoot the ball well. In Game 1, they outscored the Dallas Mavericks by 10 points in the third quarter, so only needing to win that by 2 in Game 2. I like that proposition for Game 2. All right, let's move to the other series that is taking place in the NBA postseason, Eastern Conference Finals. All knotted up at 1 apiece going back to Boston. A very impressive Celtics victory in Game 2. Absolutely dominant performance, but it is just a 1-1 series. So Saturday, 8:30 Eastern, up at Boston, we will see the Celtics laying 6 against the Heat. 207.5, again, a low total here. What do you want to do playing this game? Are you looking at side or total, props? How you doing it, Anita?
Doesn't my shirt speak volumes? Marcus Smart, baby. He was the elixir last night. And boy, did I get burned. Listen, I took the Heat, full transparency. I took the Heat. I laid the points. I didn't pay enough attention to the fact that with Horford and Marcus Smart back, watch out. The boss, and I've been saying it, and I don't know why I didn't listen to myself last night. So I'm going to lay the points with the Celtics at home. Celtics coming in, best team in the NBA heading into this postseason. Horford and Smart. Smart was 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. Tatum was terrific, even though he had 27 points. It was somewhat of a blowout. He didn't play a plethora of minutes either. Home court advantage here. We know how great they play in Boston, and I just think it's too much for the Heat to handle. So I'm going to go with the Celtics. I'll lay the points.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a 7-game series. I just can't get over the fact that Miami is the 1 seed in this Eastern Conference. You know how much I've loved Boston since the 1st of January because of their defense. I mean, this team is legit. But Miami's got championship bread and butter, too, and most of it is within that ticker of Jimmy Butler. That's why my favorite play is Butler over 39.5 points, assists, and rebounds. I think he ended at 38 or 39 in Game 2, but he only played 32 minutes because it was such a blowout. Basically, this postseason, ever since he got going in that Atlanta series, if he plays his normal allotment of minutes, which is like 38 to 42, he's soaring over 40 points, assists, and rebounds. He's giving you 40-point games. If it is a blowout one way or the other, whether it's the opposition or the Heat blowing out their opponent, his minutes are limited, and that's the only reason he's not gone over this. Jimmy is, at this point, someone who is matchup agnostic. Despite the fact that the Celtics have this awesome defense, I trust Jimmy to get to the free throw line and knock him down. I trust him to knock down those mid-range J's. I trust him to set up spot shots for his teammates. I trust him to grab rebounds. I trust him to fill up the box score because Jimmy is a playoff killer. So I'll go over 39.5 points, assists, and rebounds. Soared over it in Game 1. Would have in Game 2 if not for the fact that the Heat were getting blown out. And I expect them to rebound and at least give us a competitive game through 4 quarters, win, lose, or draw. All right, speaking of Jimmy Butler, he's near the top, Anita, of the MVP finals market. Now that we're down to the final 4 teams, rather than betting on a team, you can sometimes find a little better value on which player you think is going to win the MVP, which of course correlates to the team that is likely to win the championship. You don't see often a guy from a losing team win the finals MVP. So Steph Curry's the favorite. Tatum sitting there at plus 280. Jimmy Butler, who I was just discussing, plus 550. Luka, Clay, and Dre round out the top 6. Anyone on that list stand out to you as the proper play or a good value where we sit right now in the conference finals?
I'm going back to Boston. I've got to hold true here. It's what meets the eye, the truth. You see it in front of your very, very own face. That's why I'm so upset with myself that I got burned by taking the Heat yesterday. And now that the Boston Celtics have home court advantage by winning in Miami last night, I think the Boston Celtics, I think they take care of the Miami Heat. I think they win the NBA championship. And I think it all comes down to Jason Tatum, who's just been absolutely unbelievable. This is a Boston team. Here's the thing. A lot of these, the last 4 that are here, they play so well at home. But the Boston Celtics, Tyler, are the best team on the road. And so that's where I think Boston's going to get their advantage. That's why I think Boston's going to win the championship. And at the end of the day, I think Tatum is going to be crowned the postseason MVP.
Yeah, I definitely understand that logic. And of the 4 teams, I do think Boston is the best. I do think they have the best chance of winning it all, but I don't think they're so much demonstrably better than any of the other 3 that it's a slam dunk. That's why I kind of like the value of Jimmy Butler or Luka Doncic. Butler at plus 550. Again, the Miami Heat were the 1 seed in the East. The Miami Heat beat this Boston Celtics team in the conference finals a couple of years ago in the bubble to get to the NBA finals. I think we're kind of shortchanging just a little bit the Miami Heat because we love Tatum and the Celtics so much, and I am just as guilty as anyone of that. And then there's Luka Doncic. Like, outside of prime LeBron James and Cleveland, who is more responsible for his team's production and his team's winning than Luka Doncic? I think, of course, with Butler, he's very responsible for the Heat. Tatum, you can say the same for the Celtics, and of course Curry. But like, if the Mavericks win the NBA championship, there is absolutely 0 chance Luka Doncic is not the MVP. Whereas if the Heat win, maybe Butler or Tyler Hero, 1%, 2%. If Jaylen Brown goes off for the Celtics, or your boy Marcus Smart keeps hooting, maybe them. And then in Golden State, it could be Curry, it could be Poole, it could be Wiggins, it could be Dre. I'm just saying, that's what Luka does, so I kind of like the value of Butler and Doncic better.
Was there ever in the history of the NBA that a player won the postseason MVP on a team that didn't win the championship?
I think Jerry West did one time with the Lakers. I think Jerry West did one time with the Lakers when he lost to the Celtics. But you probably got to find a winning team to cash that Finals MVP bet. All right, Anita, great week, of course, all week long. We'll see you back here on Monday. Best of luck to you with the ponies and anyone wagering anything this weekend.